I suppose some of you might remember a Star Trek episode, from the original version, of course, where a crewman with a grudge frames Captain Kirk by interfering with the ship's log and making it look like Kirk had jettisoned a research pod, killing the occupant while the ship was in yellow alert rather than in red alert, which is what Kirk said it was. As I recall, in the end, Spock worked out that the computer had been interfered with because he realised something was wrong with the chess program, and Kirk was exonerated. That series of Star Trek was set 200 years into the future. Well, folks, it looks like we've arrived there at warp speed because it's happening now. I'll tell you all about it when I've told you that I'm Granniopteryx. So this is the story. Teacher A, this fellow here, by the name of Darjon Darien, a true storybook villain's name, if I ever heard of one, was under threat of some sort of disciplinary action brought about by teacher B, this fellow here, Eric Eiswert. And right, okay, I'm not going to say that. Eric Eiswert happens to be the school principal. It seems that Eiswert suspected Darien of misuse of school funds and of overstepping his powers from the rank he was. And Mr. Darien's contract was up for renewal, and it was most likely that Eiswert wasn't going to let it through. So here's the story as reported in the Daily Telegraph. Teacher arrested, that's this fellow, after using AI to impersonate the voice of the principal making racist comments. Now, I'm going to play you the clip that he circulated, and it was a diatribe against black people, and it was, I'm sure a psychologist would have a field day with the sort of things he was saying, which were straight out of the Jussie Smollett school of victimhood, but might have been something that was already in himself as a criticism of black people, and that he might have had an idea that, well, that those things were true, really, and that's why he was saying them. I'm not saying that black people are the way he was describing them. I'm talking about his own warped imagination, by the way. Okay, so let's read some of this article. A teacher has been arrested after he used AI to impersonate the voice of his school principal, making racist and anti-Semitic comments about students and staff. He's said to have used cloning technology to forge an audio clip that made Mr. Eiswert sound like he was frustrated with black students and their test-taking abilities, police said. It seems, so far as I can make out, that it was actually Darien doing the rant and then using recordings of Eiswert's voice as a template. The Baltimore County Police Chief said, "We now have conclusive evidence that the recording was not authentic." Eiswert has been on paid administerial leave? Surely that should be administrative leave. Anyway, paid leave since the recording went viral. Of course, his reputation has been sullied, and he would have lost a lot of friends, or not really friends, but at least colleagues. Mr. Eiswert always insisted that the recording, which Mr. Darien sent to himself and two other teachers on the evening of January the 16th, was fake. Now, I'm going to play you that clip. Remember, this is a teacher who has a grudge against another teacher who has changed the voice to sound like the other teacher. Gets complicated, doesn't it? Here goes.
For me and only me. You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day. Between these ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his black ass out of here one way or another. I'm going to get something to stick. I'm just so sick of the inadequacies of these people. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side. Kathy, I'm done.
Okay, so yeah, that was it. Quite frightening, isn't it? And now I don't know what Mr. Eiswert's voice sounded like, but I assume it was close enough that it caused him to be effectively sacked pending the investigation. And I'm glad that it was discovered that the tape was false. But early days, folks, yes, early days. All right, so the Baltimore County Public Schools Superintendent, Miriam Rogers, said, as you could imagine, this has been a very difficult time for the Pikesville High School community, Principal Eiswert and his family. Yeah, well, I suggest it might be a difficult time for us all, actually. This time the culprit was caught. I assume because it wasn't that sophisticated. But who's to know how much more sophisticated these things all get? And I'm talking about this for another reason. Some of you will remember that I was exiled to the naughty step by YouTube a short while ago. I've picked up a lot of new subscribers recently, and you must be warned that I get put on the naughty step fairly frequently. So I appealed to YouTube, and to be fair, they did restore most of the restrictions that they put on. Not all of them. There are still a couple of videos that have been restricted. But in any case, when I started chatting with the creator support, I got a lot of responses that looked like standard answers of the cut and paste variety. And I did publish that conversation, and I went through it. And a few comments under the video that I made about my tussle with YouTube pointed out that possibly I wasn't chatting with a human at all, but with a bot. And indeed, there were things in there. I suspected that it was a human, but the human was just drawing down cut and paste stuff. In fact, a human acting like a bot. But it was equally possible it was a bot. And the problem is that we don't know, do we? And yeah, so you might say, well, then you should use the phone call method instead of the text chat. But, you know, if we get a phone call, we might not be able to tell if we're actually talking to a bot or a human either, especially in the light of this here. And of course, it's going to get worse and more confusing pretty quickly, isn't it? So I have a suggestion for the godlike politicians who've been making our laws recently. Instead of wasting time inventing problems of what to do with men who pretend to be women, perhaps those august representatives of good governance should be devoting their time to the problems of robots who pretend to be human beings. Because that's going to be a problem of increasing difficulty over the next, well, I was going to say over the next few years, but the way things are going, we could be talking about the next few hours. All right, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.